All right, welcome back to another episode from me, FPL Crusader. Feel free to call me Luke, as always. Today we are barreling towards Game Week 29, and this is the Game Week 29 preview show. So I've got a bunch of stats to go through. We'll talk about them in a minute. We've also got some injuries and suspensions to go through, and then at the end we'll have a talk about my team and where we're going. You would have seen in my video during the week my free hit draft. So if you want a free hit for Game Week 29, which is a blank with 4 teams not playing, if you want a free hit, have a look at that. It's on my. It was released 3 days ago. Hopefully that can do some good for your team if you're on a free hit, or even if you're on a wild card. So let's have a look at the injuries and suspensions list as it stands right now. We are, let's say, 2 days plus 12 hours before deadline. Trent is 31% owned. He's got an ankle injury. He's not playing this week. He should play in the cup final, but that might mean he gets rested afterwards, depending on how he goes in the international break. So I think he should be fine. But he is 31% owned. A lot of people are going away from Trent this week. Liverpool's have pretty much won the league already. However, their run up towards the end of the season isn't that flash. Some people are even questioning whether to go with that Mo Salah, but geez, I got a massive red arrow of 300k just by not captaining him. So imagine if I didn't even have him in my team, I would have got maybe 24 points this week. Shocking. Gordon, 9% owned. He's suspended. He's returning in Game Week 31, just in time for Newcastle's fixtures to ramp right up with doubles and everything else. Game Week 30 return for still 9% owned, Bukayo Saka. Will he get 4 minutes straight away? Probably. He does get run into the ground. A head injury for Mateta makes him 6% owned. He is doubtful for a Game Week 30 return. We're not entirely sure, but they do have a plum fixture against, I believe it's Ipswich. Matthias Cunha, he was supposed to be the man to save us all throughout the Game Week 29 blank and the games before and after, but he went and did something stupid. He does lose his head now and then. Expected return for Game Week 31, but he could get suspended for longer, they think. I doubt it. If they haven't done it by now, they probably can't. And the man who's back for Game Week 30 could be Nicholas Jackson. A sneaky punt on Nicholas Jackson could go pretty good. But that being said, do you really need him in your team? I mean, if you got the likes of Wissa, Wood, Mateta, Cunha, don't forget Isaac's got doubles coming up. Some people are going into Haaland or Mamouche, so it's hard to fit in all these players. As we can see on the left there, Villa, Palace, Liverpool, and Newcastle do have the bye this week, or having a blank game week this week because of that cup final on Monday or Sunday afternoon, England time. So if you can roll through with 10 or 11 players, I think you'd be pretty good. I'm contemplating I'm probably going to do Mamouche, regardless of whether he plays or not. I think he can do some damage against Brighton. Sorry, regardless of whether he starts. My next option was to get rid of Vandenberg, who I specifically brought in to sit on my bench for 4 weeks, for 7 weeks, I should say, and then come in for this blank because he's 4.1. But if he's injured and is not playing, do I transfer him out for a Vardiol or a Gabriel? I don't know. Transfers worth 4 points. Am I expecting more than 4 points from either of them? Probably not. We'll see how it goes. The best fixtures this week, you'd arguably say that Bournemouth's fixture against Brentford is good for both. Both teams are leaky in goals, but both teams score a lot of goals. Everton, West Ham, it's a bit meh, isn't it? I'm just going through the green ones here. Manchester City, Brighton, though, that'll be an interesting game. That's the battle for 4th or 5th, it will be, potentially. Manchester United, Leicester. Do you put all your eggs in one basket, Manchester United? Bruno Fernandes is a huge factor this week. A lot of people going in. If you've got Chris Wood and or a Nottingham Forest defender, you're playing them and you're probably captaining Chris Wood. That's what I'm doing. Southampton against Wolves. If Cunha was playing, that would have been perfect. He would have been a captaincy shout. But yeah, the rest of them are a bit garden centre variety games. Let's have a look at the shots on target. Now, I've sorted this by goals scored. So what this means is you can see the people are Isaac and Wood behind Salah and behind Salah and Haaland. They've got far less shots. They've also got far less goals. But look at this. Isaac and Wood have 19 and 18 respectively. It's only 1 goal shy of Erling Haaland, but they've got close to 40-odd shots less than Erling Haaland to get those goals. Wood's going at 1 for 2. Isaac's going just a bit under that. Haaland's going 1 out of 4. Look at that Mo Salah. 27 goals, 87 shots, 55 on target. Out of his shots on target, he's going 1 for 2. That is amazing. 50% success rate. Palmer's getting up there as well. His shots on target compared to his goals are drifting apart, to be honest, Cole. You need to ramp that up really quick. I think I've gone catching him for the last 2 weeks and my rank has suffered for it. So what that means to me is that maybe it's just keep it simple. I've already got I've got differentials on my team, so going a differential captain is compounding the issue, I think. So I'm just going to play it simple moving forward. Watkins and with Cunha on 13 goals. Both of them have relatively the same shots on target. Mateta with 12 and Kluivert with 12. Less shots on target, but a better conversion rate, especially Mateta. He's going 1 for 2. That is amazing. But all that needs to be said is that if you don't have Mo Salah, you're probably having a shocking season. Now, let's have a look at the form over the last 6 weeks. These next few slides are presented. Well, I found them off the Fantasy Football Pundit site. I'm not affiliated with them, but if you're using them and FPL team, you're probably going to have a pretty good season. So the form over the last 6 weeks is all Liverpool, pretty much. You got Salah, you got Szoboszlai, you got Trent, you got Diaz. Interesting to see Diaz there. I know he's picked up a little bit, but he's still not as good as he was at the start, and he's hurt us. He's burned us in the past, so we can't go back there. Beto has played very well. He blanked in the last game week, but he's still playing very well, especially since that double. Munoz, once again, he got another clean sheet, so 6 points. He's well worth his investment now. He had a few games when I first brought him in, he was doing nothing, but the last 5 or 6, he has just been phenomenal. Chris Wood will always be there because his form is always so good. He's playing very well this season. He's in his early to mid-30s. He's in the twilight of his career, unfortunately, but if he played like this all the way through, he wouldn't just be called the Kiwi Kane. I think Harry Kane would be called the British Wood. Kluivert, he scored, I think I read 9 goals and assists in the last 8. So he's very consistent, or maybe it's 8 in the last 9, but he's very consistent. So he's not just being that explosive hat-trick player that he has been, but he's being overly consistent over the last few weeks. So he probably is the Bournemouth player to go for. And as Mela Sarr, now that Mateta's out, he's really stepped up. So jump onto this website, have a look at the form over the last 6. That can help you bring in the best players for your squad move. Turning our face to the XGI for the last 6, we know Salah's going to be there. He's got goals, he's got assists, he's a stud, and he's always going to be top of the XGI. But it's interesting to see Palmer there. Regardless of whether he captained or not over the last 2, it was very unlucky not to get any returns. He played very well. I mean, he missed a penalty. There was the game before that I mentioned previously that he shot past. It wasn't Henderson. I can't remember who it was, but he hit it straight at the keeper. Cole Palmer evolved with confidence. Would have banged that into the net, and he probably would have got a couple of returns in the back of that. So just a bit unlucky there with Cole. He's under an injury cloud too. He's got a sickness. He's got the trots, apparently, according to his manager. I'm not really sure that he would have wanted that to be known to the public, but now that we know we'll call him Diarrhea Dave from now on. But he is kind of, I don't know, he's a risk because he could explode at any time on the pitch and apparently off it, but he could explode at any time in terms of goals. So I don't really want to kick him off this stage. He does play Arsenal, who have known that for their defense, so I wouldn't captain him this week. Enough about him. I'm a Fulham fan, so I can't talk about Chelsea too long. Haaland's up there. His expected goals will always be high, but he's just not doing it this year. Isaac, very good. And Mbeumo and Wissa are combining so well. It'll be interesting to see if Brentford can keep that combination next year. With a few teams around the league ranked higher than them that need a decent striker and a decent winger, I would be surprised if they both stayed at Brentford. I'd be surprised if they both went, but you'd expect at least one to go. Mateta, interestingly enough, if he plays 38 games, which I can't remember the last time he ever did, but if he did play 38 games, his goals will be roughly around where Haaland is currently, I think. He's that lethal in front of goal currently. Bruno Fernandes, the man of the hour. I think his XGI towards the end of the season will ramp up. He's got some very difficult fixtures coming, but I think he's got the skills and talent. He just got a hat-trick midweek in the European game. So what more is there to say about the bloke? And as I said about Sarr, he's picking up where Mateta left off. If they did lose Mateta, Crystal Palace, it looks like Sarr can cover his goals based on his output now. And Sarr's always been a bit of a player you want to keep in your team. Remember, he was the guy for Watford that stopped Liverpool's perfect season a few years ago. So, expected FPL points for this game week. This is also from Fantasy Football Pundit. You need to get to their website and have a crack at it. But also for this one, this update's later in the week. So I had to wait for this one to come out, which is good. It means they're taking all the information. But the expected FPL points for this week, 5.6, Erling Haaland. That being said, if you bring in Erling Haaland this week, whether it's your full transfer, if you're getting rid of Palmer, which is a big move I've seen a lot of people do, or if it's a free hit, or if it's a wild card, if you bring in Erling Haaland, you may as well captain him. He's Brighton at home. Brighton are playing very well lately. Their defense has gotten a lot better, but it's not perfect. So I think Erling Haaland can do pretty well. Fernandes is also at 5 points. I expect him to get well more than that against Leicester. He probably hit double figures this week. Leicester just aren't good. They're not playing very well at all. Ruud van Nistelrooy isn't the right fit for Leicester. He'll be much better in a team like Aston Villa or a highly attacking team, even like a Bournemouth, the team that highly attacks, highly presses, and just has better attacking players. I just don't think it's a really good fit for him personally. Garnacho and Trossard are there as well. Interesting, they're both differentials, but if you wanted a one-week punt, I'd probably go Garnacho. Trossard against Chelsea, I wouldn't think it'd be too good. It's interesting to see on this that Tavernier is over Evan Nielsen and Kluivert in expected points. I mean, it's 4.5 compared to 4.4. It's not a lot, but he is also under an injury cloud, so keep that in mind. Chris Wood, 4.5 points away to Ipswich. I expect at least 8, 9, or 10 from him in my team. And obviously, Alexander Iwobi playing for Fulham. I had to get him in this graphic. We don't feature in these graphics a lot. 4.4 home to Spurs. We will score against Spurs, but we'll need to score a lot to beat them because they will score against us. So I expect them to score a couple of goals, especially early. And then hopefully their legs give out. We usually finish really well. We finish all over the top of every team, and we're very proud of it too. We get quite tired afterwards and need a nap, but I think we'll do pretty good this week. I expect this to be quite high scoring. I was on a Fulham podcast on Monday for Fulham supporters. It's called That's So Craven. So if you're interested, have a crack on that. I think I said 2-2. I'm changed that now. I think we're going to go ballistic and go 4-2. Purely because we're coming off a disappointing loss to Brighton. So I think Marco's going to get the team up for it. That being said, Spurs and Ange are dangerous. Ange is running this team into the ground. Their hammies are going to give out in the second half, and we're going to finish all over them and beat them 4-2. Now, we're looking at the referee cards this week. Actually, the referee cards given has come down a bit. So over the last few weeks, it's been closer to 4 for the first 4 or 5 referees. But Mike Dean, Anthony Taylor, Craig Pawson have all reduced their cards, which is very interesting, actually. I've never really kept an eye on it, but over the last 4 or 5 game weeks, they've all done that. The only one refereeing this week is Craig Pawson. He's doing Bournemouth against Brentford. I think Anthony Taylor might be doing the Cup. That's just a guess. But Bournemouth and Brentford, Craig Pawson, he's the third most in cards, so expect their either free kick or penalty takers to get some good points. I would expect that to be pretty good for the likes of Kluivert and Mbuemo. So if you've got them, you should be pretty good. There's no point talking about the rest. They don't feature this week, so they can bugger off. The most wanted for Gameweek 29, who do you want in your team according to the FPL website? It is Bruno Fernandes. Roughly around 345k. That could change closer to deadline. Why do they want him? It's Leicester away. It's the best fixture in the league. He's a definite captaincy option. He does have 4 goals and assists in the last 3 game weeks, which is very interesting. Considering people are saying he's gone a bit slow this season, he's still roughly about 9 million. I think it's 8.7, 8.8. So it's not cheap. He is a premium, but he is doing 4 in the last 3, and the Manchester United supporters will be in love with him more than they ever have been. So a lot of people bring him in. That'll probably be closer to 350 by the time kickoff goes. Chris Wood, he is a captaincy option. He's away to Ipswich, another great fixture. He's blanked in the last 2, but you'd expect him to be a flat track bully and absolutely smash Ipswich. I expect 1, maybe 2 goals. 250k. If you're smart, that'll get up closer to 300. I think by the time we kick off, that'll be 255, 260. And of course, Justin Kluivert. I think he's like Palmer Light this season. He's cheap. He's scoring consistent goals. He's not getting scoring consistent points, I should say. He's not getting the massive hauls consistently that Palmer was last year, but he's cheap enough to put in your team, play him every week, and you probably do pretty well. He's got Brentford at home. The way they press, I think he'll be impressive moving forward, and I think he will get a goal or two. Brentford's defense is getting better, but it's still not amazing. He's got 9 goals and assists in the last 8. You'd have to back him to get at least an assist this week. Moving forward to this week for game week 29. Captaincy options for me, it's between Haaland, Wood, and Bruno. This is for if I was having every single player on my team that I could. Time to get hurt again, absolutely, for Erling Haaland. They need wins, and they need this guy to step up. It's time he did it. He's got Brighton at home. If he's not going to start it against a Brighton defense at home, then when is he going to start it? So he's had relatively good returns over the last 6 game weeks. If you don't compare him to Mo Salah, he's done okay. But it's time that City are about to go on a run. Towards the end of the season, they've got a lot of great fixtures, and I think it's time that he just pulled his socks up and started smashing it. Chris Wood, he's struggling in the last 2. He is a flat track bully, as I just said. They've got Ipswich, and then they've got Manchester United at home. Now, the fact they don't concede a lot of goals means that if he does score a goal, then he probably gets all 3 bonus points. Speaking of Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes, they got the best fixture in game week 29. He personally is in great form. He will struggle next week. So is it a 1-week punt? I'm not really sure. They got Manchester City in 31 after that, who they've been relatively successful against recently, but he's a definite captaincy option for game week 29. And I think if I did have him in my team, I would probably captain him over Chris Wood this week. Let's have a look at the goals per 90. James McAtee again. He really comes on, but he scored 2 goals, so you can't really ignore that. Cess as well. I'm still surprised to see Cess up there because he came on last week and did nothing. John Duran, he's going to be the top of this by the end of the season, I think. Mo Salah, 0.94. Wow, what can you say? That's only getting better. But the likes of Asensio, he's only just started, but the likes of Isaac, Haaland, Wood, and Beto are all doing really well. Interesting to see Richarlison there. It just shows how little minutes he's actually played. And Marmoush has got that hat-trick. We need another one from you, Omar. Another hat-trick this weekend will be fantastic. So my 3 differentials for this week that I'd recommend on a 1-week punt will be Alejandro Garnacho. He's 5.9 million, very cheap, 4.9% owned. He's got 6 goals and assists. He's against Leicester, who are very vulnerable at the back. He needs consistency to be an FPL asset we want moving forward. That being said, I do think he has the skills to do it. So if they keep giving him game time, I think he'll shine. Neto is here for the 3rd week in a row as one of my differentials because he's still only 8.2% owned. He's still only 5.1 million. He's got 6 goals and assists. He's got 5 of those goals since game week 24. He's got West Ham at home, who we can get in behind. He's actually quite quick. I thought he was just a tall lumbering forward, but watching Neto, he's actually quite quick on the ball and especially on the break. So I think he can get him behind West Ham's big players and then have some fun, essentially. And Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's come off a goal. He's in great form. He's got 8 goals and assists. He's only 1.9% owned. He is a great differential. Ipswich away, 5.2 million. The team's in good form. Gibbs White and him work really well together. So I'm thinking he could get another good game and another good return. Callum Hudson-Odoi. For a 1-week punt, I would probably go him. I know the likes of Mark Southerns will probably say Elanga, or other people might even say Gibbs White, but go with the guy who's in the best form, I think. Here's my team for FPL Challenge. It's a 7-a-side this week. They've gotten rid of there was like 3 or 4 weeks where they were doing managers, which is good it's gone now because it was a little bit annoying. So it's a 7-a-side. So I've gone 2 City, which is Haaland and Vardio. I've got Bruno in there as well. I've got 3 Forest, which is Sells, Aina, and Wood in Haaland captain. It's pretty simple. I've gone a 2-2-2 format. You can do whatever format you want, whatever formation I should say, but it seems straightforward. Brighton, Gvardiol at home because I want to see if he's going to get some returns. And Buemo because he's on pens. Fernandes because he's Bruno and he's playing Leicester. ANSLs and Wood because they're the best team in the comp in terms of defense, I think, on their day. I know their record says they're fourth behind Fulham, which is interesting. I don't feel like we've been amazing, but stats don't lie, I guess. But I think this week against us, which they can do pretty well. And I've gone with Haaland as the captain just because I think the big idiot can do pretty well this week. It feels like now or never for City, right? If they don't start going too well, they're going to miss out in Champions League. And if they miss out in Champions League, then I expect Pep to leave. He probably won't, but that's just what I think. All right, here's my team for game week 29, the blank. My rank is 1.3 million. I lost 295,000 places because I captained Palmer instead of Salah. And if I didn't do that, then I think I would have been pretty much the same as my old rank. So something needs to change, and I am changing. Mateta is out. He's not guaranteed for game week 30 yet. He does have an extra 2 weeks because we've got a week off this week after this game week because of the internationals. But I brought in Marmoush. Am I expecting him to start? 50-50. He'll guarantee to get game time. My biggest concern for this team is Sepp van den Berg from Brentford. Is he injured or is he playing? Do I take the 1 point if he comes on off the bench? Or do I spend those transfers and bring in Gvardiol or Timber or someone along those lines? It's really 50-50 for me. And I'll probably make these transfers closer to deadline, which will be about 11:30 p.m. on Saturday night Brisbane time. So while I'm talking to the wife, I'll have one eye on any news about Manchester City. Here's the team as it stands. If I don't make an extra transfer, it's Pickford and goal to West Ham. I'm really hoping they keep a clean sheet there. Sepp van den Berg, I hope he plays. He always sent it home to Brentford. I'd love them to keep a clean sheet. Also, I've got Buemo, so I'm not really sure if I want a clean sheet. It's just one of those things. I'm going to keep them all after this as well. Don't forget, I've already used my wild card, so I can't chop and change too much. Murillo away to Ipswich. He needs a clean. He got 2 bonus points last week for having the clean against City. He is a bit of a bonus point magnet, so I want that to continue. Mazraoui away to Leicester. Last week, he was very unlucky in terms of not scoring a goal. Hopefully, he can continue that against Leicester and get those returns. I've got the double up of Chelsea and Nkunku and Palmer. They're away to Arsenal. They will struggle there, but I brought them in for the next few weeks, or for the last few weeks, and they've done pretty well. So Nkunku might go to Gordon in a couple of weeks, depending on what I do with van den Berg. That'll dictate the amount of money I have in my back pocket. But I think I need to start bringing in players from Newcastle. Their fixtures are about to turn, and I think they're turning for the better. Kluivert at home to Brentford. He was a captaincy shout. That's why he's wearing my vice captaincy shirt. Or tag, I should say. I think he'll do pretty well this week. He does pretty well every week, but I think he'll continue that. And Buemo, look, realistically, I would love for Buemo and Kluivert to score goals and Huijsen and van den Berg not to get the blanks. But you can't have it. You can't have all 4 players playing each other and everyone be happy. Marmoush is the man that's come in. Look how happy he is. He's very excited to be on my team. Thank you for smiling, buddy. At home to Brighton, he should be able to get in behind those Brighton defenders and showcase his pace. If he played like he did the day he did where they got the hat-trick, if he gets that kind of service, he'll definitely get some returns. And that's what I'm banking on this week. Chris Wood is my captain away to Ipswich. I've got my bench boost up my sleeve. So you can see from through in the bench, Isaac Munoz and Salah. I'm going to keep them moving forward, probably till the end of the year. I'm not really sure about getting rid of Salah. A lot of people have said that, but the bloke isn't slowing down. They're out of the Champions League now. He's not going to have as many midweek games apart from he's got this week. He's got a bye this week, but I mean, what else is he playing for? He's just going to go for records. So that means he's going to keep scoring, I believe. Isaac's still playing very well. And Munoz is in peak form. My issues is, as I said to you the last couple of weeks, my 2 goalies, my Pickford, my Flappy. Yeah. If Flappy doesn't start playing, I'm going to have to do a goalkeeper transfer for my backup goalkeeper, which is a cardinal sin in Fantasy Premier League, but it is what it is. If I have to do that, I have to do it. But that's more towards game week 32, 33, 34, when I'm likely to play it in around those areas. Obviously not going to play it in the blank, but it's one of those areas I'll play. So there's my team. Pickford, Huijsen, Vandenberg, Murillo, Masraoui, and Kunku. Come on, buddy, earn your stripes. Palmer, get back on your horse. Kluivert and Mbeumo, trade goals. That'll be good. Marmouche, another hat-trick is what I need. And Captain Mr. Wood, here we go. Thank you for tuning in. I almost said congratulations for tuning in. That's weird. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you appreciated it. I hope your arrows are green and your differential score hat-tricks. If you have any questions about teams or free hit 29 or blank game week 29, just let me know in the comments or reach out to me on social media. I will try and reach back. I know there's a few people that reached out to me last week and I didn't actually get back to all of them. That being said, we were going through a cyclone, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But as I said, I hope you all have a great week. Good luck in game week 29, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Luke, FPL Crusader. Have a good day.